Hello, welcome to another video. I'm looking at Ozone 12. Once a year, they seem to do another major upgrade. And as you know, last year 11 came out and I made a video about it, and I wasn't too happy about the pricing. Since Native Instrument bought Izotope, we've seen all their plugins go up in price. And, for a loyal customer, as always, it doesn't seem really fair. And I had a beef with going up from version 10 to 11 for like, $200. I didn't do it. I hope you didn't do it. I waited about maybe 9 months. And I think last December, I found a sale and I got the version 11 advanced for $80. I think on one of the other platforms, Plugin Boutique or one of those. So then I thought, okay, good. For that amount, I do the yearly upgrade. I've been with Ozone since version 4. And, like many of you, I shelled out $100. I think it was like 99 or maybe 149 for the, annual upgrade. And it's getting a little iffy now. And I know they improve it. It always improves. And it's a good program, no doubt. But let me show you what the current upgrade price might be. I'm running this, by the way, on trial. I downloaded the trial version. So just to see it and check out the new modules. And we're going to talk about that, what it offers. But I went to my portal at Native Instruments. And let me pull up the pricing page so you guys can see it. So this is what they offer me now. Retail, they say usually it's $299, and they give it to me for $199. So that's $200. And here's the problem. It says update from any previous version of Ozone Advanced. And this is the part that doesn't make it fair to users like us who upgrade every single year. I mean, if you still run version 8 or 9, even 10, I would say, yeah, definitely consider the $199, if that's the price. And that should be the price in your portal when you log in. Because, going from 10 to 12, yeah, there's some major improvements. And even from 9, also, you're going to lose the standalone version, which I like a lot, and many of you do. And I think it's a shame that something like this, which is so self-contained in that they call it now the mothership, the one unit with all those different, plugins and sub-modules, that you can't run it in standalone. You have to open, your DAW or Wavelab or whatever you're using, and which also consumes, CPU and other, and memory and all that. So I would have wished for a standalone version of 12. Also, this would have made such a big difference for, easy operation. But nevertheless, so for $199, I'm not upgrading from version 11. 11 is just fine. If you have 10, I say, yeah, consider it. Download the demo, and then, you're skipping 2 versions up from 10 till 12. $199 seems to be okay. If you wait until, December or maybe next year, January, February, this will go down. No doubt. There will be other sites offering it, or I don't know, you have to look and find some deals, and maybe there's some other packages if you have the production suite and things like that. Yeah, this is very good for previous versions beside 11. So I'm definitely not going to go for that. Let me know what you think. I think it's too steep. And $300 would have been insane to begin with. I mean, there's some nice modules, and let's take a look at those, what they offer now. And again, it's a fine product, but yeah, this is not in my territory right now, $199. So enough of that. Let's look at the size. I thought this is also interesting. When you install 12, and here is, I'm on Windows, by the way. I'm running Windows 11. And so it comes now at 2.94 gigabyte, which is, with terabytes of space on your hard drives nowadays, not a big deal. But again, each program gets bigger and fatter with each update. So don't, wonder if your C drive on Windows gets a little, more maxed out over the years. So you can see 2.94 gigabyte for 12. I want to show you 11 in comparison. So here you can see 11 was 2.4. So, there are a couple new modules, and those are the individual modules. And some of them are down in size. Like clarity was actually at 11 was 189, and now in 12 it's only 30. So maybe there's a compromise in there. If you add all this up, maybe then we come to the same amount. But here's something interesting. I pulled up version 10. This one came in at 1.5 gigabyte, and of course version 9, the standalone version, 987 megabyte. See what a big jump, right? And of course way more options to go with. So just be prepared that it will eat up a little more space on your main hard drive. Let's take a look at the module. They've done, of course, improvements. There are way more categories. So when you do you open the Ozone, you put it on your track. I have it on a little EDM loop I made. There's now two options. You can have the one-click, analyzer going, like in the old days, your assistant, and you have a custom button, which is interesting. This one actually makes sense because when you click on custom, you can now say, you know what, I never liked the master rebalance, for instance, right? That sometimes would kick in because, Ozone thought your vocals are too much up front or not enough, and it would just put that plugin into your chain. So you can actually now disable it. And so you can, with the others, you can say, you know what, I don't need the impact tool. I don't need I like the way it sits, space-wise. I don't need you to give me suggestions about imaging. So I can turn those off, and you can actually then save it as your default. So every time you use the assistant, it's going to use your settings. Also, you can say, I don't need the maximizer. I'm going to use maybe FabFilter, their version, right? Or you can say, I want an output level of whatever, or I want the true peak always on, or I need a loudness, not of -9. I want lofts of, I'm hovering out -12 or 13, whatever number you want. You can set this here, and also the intensity of the processing from bold transformative balance to transparent and very subtle. You can set this and save it as a default, right? And the analysis time, if you have a song that's more complex, you can actually increase it from 8 seconds, which is the minimum, all the way to 60 seconds of listening time. And then you can also, the genre, you can say, you know what, this is what I'm doing, dubstep now, or dance pop, or country. And as you can see, there are way more categories now you can pick from. They actually subdivided some of the other, there's now trap, techno, hyper pop, house, future bass, ambient, even vocal jazz they have down here, which wasn't there before. So, and of course, you have your custom genres, which you can actually import again, your own recordings or other people tracks, or your top favorite, mastered tracks, and you can create your own curve. So that's the custom button. I like that one. That's a nice improvement. The one click is the usual, and let's see what it does. So there are a couple new modules, and let's see if they get activated. So here's my loop. It's like a little EDM loop I made with a Contact loop plugin. Let's try this. It's gonna jump in volume. All right. It did not jump in volume. Why? Because I have this button on from an earlier scan. This is your bypass gain level button, which I like a lot, because then you can really hear what a difference it makes. Because if it gets just louder, you might think it's better already. That's always misleading. So let's take a look. So this is, again, the usual. There's nothing really new here. You have your same controls. And if there's vocal in the track, it allows you to do a little balancing here if you need to. But let's go under the hood. Let's click on this. So we got the usual, the equalizer, the impact. See, all the same modules like we had them before. And yeah, it does sound better. Let me turn on the gain match. Here's without. Yeah, more clarity, more punch, like Ozone 11. I mean, that's again, it's the same modules here. So there are a couple new ones. There's one called the bass control. It's not the low end focus. The bass control actually allows you to go in and shape the bass. And there is, of course, the STEM EQ, which has been featured in other videos, and I'm gonna look at that in a minute. And the Unlimiter, which is a very special module. And I have another track up there. We can test that one out. So let's look at the bass control, what the bass control actually does. Let's load it. I'm going to move it all the way to the top. You know what? At this point, let's just solo the bass control. And as you can see, it has our little meter, like from the balance tool, right? When you can look at your curve, and you can see if your mix is overly compressed or too loose in dynamics. And it's the same here. It has two of those meters, one for balance and one is punch, more the transients. And so let's take a listen at the track. And you can see where that little ball is hovering. And so if I delta this button, if I delta the unit, you hear the bass. Let me turn the gain match off. And if I increase the balance, you see it increases, the level of the bass. And there's a cutoff frequency here, it's 120. Yeah, so you can move this just down to the kick if you want, or you want a little bass, whatever you want to really enhance. And you can, if it's too much, you can bring it all the way down, or have it in the center. So I guess the goal is to have this little ball here in the center. So, we do a little bit of improvement. And the punch would be the transients. Let me make this a little louder. Yeah, so depending on your signal, right? This is what it does. Without. I mean, this comes in handy again if you need, you don't have access to a mix, and it's a mastering plugin, and you might get tracks, you only get a stereo track, and that's it. And then you want to work on the low end, you can do this nicely with, not just the EQ, but also with the bass control. So that's a nice, neat little new addition. Also, of course, we have the STEM EQ, which uses a little more CPU, but it's also a fascinating new version of an EQ. What it does, in real time, it analyzes components like, bass, drums, vocals, and others. I don't have vocals, so we can ignore this part. But let me solo this module. So if I solo the drums, it's gonna just, look at the drums as much as it can separate the drums, right? I mean, there's some residue from other tracks, but again, this is stem separation done in real time. And now you can actually go in and do your adjustments if you feel a need for adjustments, or with the bass. Click on the bass here, it turns purple. That's the synth line. So again, this is actually comes in quite handy, and again, everything should be subtly done, right? If you have to do curves like this, then something is definitely wrong in the mix, but you never know what you're getting. So sometimes this might come in handy, and if the EQ, which affects, your stereo field or mid-side field, and you just want to go into, you noticed something in the bass track, and the bass module can help you out, but you say, I just need to roll off something or do a tiny bit of a boost or whatever, and you have the usual low shelves. You got the bells, the high pass and low pass. So you can do a little bit of adjustments here with the STEM EQ, right? So this is also great. Again, for me, not for $200, but if it's on sale for $100, I would buy the update. to version 12. So those are the two main ones. And of course, there's also a brand new IRC maximizer modus. And as you know, we have 1 to 4 are the classic ones. And if I pull up the manual, which is online, here you see it, and it shows you that, you know, IRC, there's low latency, 1, there's 2, what it does, you know, preserves transients. And now here comes down, let's go down to 5, because 5 is new. Provides the first multi-band limiter design in Ozone. And it splits the signal into 4 bands. So that's pretty cool. It reduces pumping and intermodulation, distortion. So, but it prioritizes frequency bands and so to peak levels, but it's the most CPU intensive and requires the most latency. So that's the, let me go back here. That's the IRC5. So if I turn this on, let's look at the meter, if it makes a difference already. Something is soloed? Yes. Let's turn off the stand. Game match. Alright, so it's looking a little harder. Let me go back to 4. Let's do classic 4. Yeah. Okay. It's a little less on the CPU, right? We are around this. Yeah, occasionally there's a spike. And you can see it stutters. I have a fast CPU, but still. So I would try 5. Why not? That's why they give it to you, right? And see if your system can handle it. And with the Delta button, you can always check what actually really happened. So yeah, no doubt about the quality of the program. I'm not, you know, detesting that. It's about the pricing at this point, at least for me. So again, version 10 to 12, thumbs up. I say, or 9 or 8, if you have that, I would say go for it. You know, even $200, you get a lot of different additional modules you might actually like, and I think they're quite useful, and you can use them on your track as well. Now, the Unlimiter, which I find fascinating. Let's go over here. So as you can see, this is my original track. Let me go down in wave. So this is how it was, you know, usual output is not too hot. This was a mix down, and I used the Fab Filter limiter, and as you can see, I really, you know, squashed that one together, okay? So what I did on this track, first of all, let me bypass this. I want to save some CPU here. Let's open the Ozone. So I inserted the Unlimiter, and if you can see, if I go to my plugins, I type in Ozone 12, you get all of these, right? So you can, you know, dynamic EQ, impact, all of those you can load in individually on your tracks, and that's great. And there's a new master rebalance, image, all of that, you know those. And the bass control is new, you know, as we talked about. And here, and the stem EQ also runs as a separate plugin, which is great. And here it is, the Unlimiter. So let me get the manual to understand what the Unlimiter does. So the Unlimiter module restores dynamics to audio that has been heavily limited. So using advanced machine learning, it estimates the transients lost during limiting and reconstructs them to bring back punch and musicality. So you have to set the threshold or click the automatic learn button and then adjust the amount to recover the missing peaks, right? So it will create it's going to build peaks. Very fascinating. Might come in handy if you get a really horrible, overly compressed master. You know, then you say, why should I master this? I can't do anything with it. It's just there's no headroom. There's nothing to work with. That's why they do it. And this is important, is the control panel and the amount, and it says, you know, 100% transients are restored to the level predicted by the network, and values above 100 apply the enhancement for more pronounced result. Okay, good. So this is let's click bypass first. So this is the heavily compressed version. Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, as you can tell, boom, everything is together and it's just right into your face, right? So, okay, let's open this up, and I'm gonna learn the threshold. Let's move this back to 0. This one uses a lot of CPU, so there might be some stuttering or holding and waiting, so just be ready. I got an i7 Intel, which is pretty fast and lots of RAM, but still, you know, I encountered some stuttering here. So, okay, let me see what happens. Let's play this. All right, game that's on. Let's bring up the amount. I mean, it's definitely working, right? I mean, you can hear that all that low end that got really squeezed in got a little more separated. And of course, you know, let's overdo this. Let me go to 150. Gain match is on, so we're not getting a volume change, right? Bypassed. Yeah, you're definitely going to get immediately more clarity, right? A little more, it starts to breathe more, right? And if you listen to the low end, you can really hear it. Let's do the max. Way too much, but 200%. Okay, let's bypass first. Yeah, so 200, of course, is way too extreme. I think that's too much, and you can hear some artifacts and stuff. But yeah, this is actually very impressive. It's very interesting. I don't think I ever need it because I do use my own mixes. And but again, if you get something from clients and they were so excited what they want to hear, and they gave you this super compressed mix, you want to just do a tiny bit of unfolding it, this might be worth a try. Okay, so this is the Unlimiter Module. Very interesting. You know, what's available nowadays. So anyhow, so this was a quick view at the Ozone 12. This is the advanced version, and again, as I said before, $199. Not for me. I'm gonna wait until the next sale. Let me know if you spend the money. And again, if you're coming from version 7, 8, 9, or even 10, yeah, I think it's worth considering. Then the $200 is worth spend because a lot has changed over the last couple of years. So thanks for watching, and until next time, bye.